throwing 2,100 American workers out on the street and moving to Monterrey, Mexico, where they're going to pay people there $3 an hour. This is not acceptable. This is the kind of corporate behavior that is destroying the middle class of this country. This is the kind of corporate behavior that together we will end. The greed of United Technologies is almost unbelievable. You really can't make this stuff up. They have no shame. They have no sense of embarrassment. This is a company that in 2014 provided its retired CEO, Louis Schenevert, with a compensation package of $172 million. Oh, and he was very concerned about what happens when you get old, because he got a $31 million pension.
And I got a 1% pay
These people are not so concerned about what happens to workers in Indiana when they get old, but they are so very worried about what happens when multimillionaires get old. And they gave him a $172 million package when he was doing a bad job. Imagine what they would have given him if he was doing a good job. This is a company that today can afford to pay its new CEO more than $14 million in total compensation last year. This is a company that made a profit of more than $7 billion last year. This is a company, United Technologies, that received $6 billion in defense contracts last year, paid for by the taxpayers of Indiana and America. This is a company that has received more than $58 million in corporate welfare from the Export-Import Bank. It is a company that in 2009 received $121 million in federal tax credits to help keep manufacturing jobs here in the United States. Today, we are sending a very loud and clear message to the CEO of United Technologies. Stop the greed. Stop destroying the middle class in America. Respect your workers. Respect the American people. If United Technologies wants to receive another defense contract from the taxpayers of this country, they better not move these jobs from Indiana. And if United Technologies refuses to keep these jobs in Indiana, they must pay back all of the corporate welfare they have received from the taxpayers of this country. But let us be very clear. What United Technologies is doing here in Indiana is what corporate America has done throughout this country over the last 35 years. The truth is that our trade policies, NAFTA, CAFTA, permanent normal trade relations with China, have been a disaster for the American worker, and I am proud to have voted against every one of these damn trade agreements. These trade agreements, all of them written by corporate America, have cost us millions of good-paying jobs in virtually every state in this country, and have led us to a race to the bottom, where millions of workers now are working longer hours for lower wages. Since the passage of NAFTA alone in 1994, Indiana, this great state, has lost 113,000 good-paying manufacturing jobs. Look around this state, and you will find once vibrant and strong manufacturing towns like Gary, South Bend, Muncie, Bloomington, Indianapolis, and Evansville shattered by abandoned factories, shut down steel mills, sky-high poverty rates, and foreclosed homes. You do not need a PhD in economics to understand that our policy of unfettered free trade, where American workers are forced to compete against desperate people all over this world, have been a disaster for the people of the United States. We need a new set of trade policies designed to protect working families and the middle class, not just the CEOs of large corporations. We need to stop China from dumping steel into this country by establishing strong countervailing tariffs. If corporate America wants us to buy their products, they have got to start manufacturing those products in Indiana, in Vermont, in America, not just in Mexico or in China. For the last 35 years in this country, the great middle class of America, once the beacon of hope for the entire world, they looked at us. That great middle class has been disappearing. We have seen an increase in poverty, and we now have more income and wealth inequality in America today than in any time since 1928. And it is worse here than in almost any major country on earth. It is not acceptable to me that today, the top 0.1% now owns almost as much wealth as the bottom 90%. It is not acceptable to me that at a time when our people are working 50 or 60 hours a week, when mama's working, dads are working, kids are working, that 58% of all new income generated today goes to the top 1%. Not acceptable. Together, brothers and sisters, we are going to create an economy that works for all of us, not just CEOs of large corporations. We are going to radically change these disastrous trade policies, but we're going to do more. We are saying here and now that if you work 40 or 50 hours a week in America, you should not be living in poverty. We're going to raise the minimum wage. We're going to raise the minimum wage to a living wage, $15 an hour. It is not acceptable that women today make 79 cents on the dollar compared to men. And I know that every man here will stand with the women in the fight for pay equity. I was in Flint, Michigan a couple of months ago, and I talked to parents whose children were poisoned by lead in their water system. But it is not just Flint, Michigan, all over this country. Our water systems, our wastewater plants, our roads, our bridges, our rail system, our levees, our dams, our airports, our schools, they are crumbling. We have got to rebuild our infrastructure, and when we do that, we create 13 million good-paying jobs.
And Hillary Clinton has to pay her taxes.
And when we do that, by the way, when we rebuild our infrastructure, we will make certain that the steel that goes into rebuilding our infrastructure is American steel, not Chinese steel. The American middle class will grow and not decline when the trade union movement in this country grows. And that is why we must expand collective bargaining rights for private sector and public sector workers. We need to make it easier for workers to join unions, not harder. That is why I will fight for legislation that says when 50% of workers in a bargaining unit sign a card to join a union, they will have that union. The United States today is the only major country on earth that does not guarantee health care to all of our people. Together, we are going to change that. Health care is a right of all people, not a privilege. We do not need to continue having 29 million Americans with no health insurance, unions having to bargain health care packages with their employers. We do not need small businesses spending half of their life worrying about how they provide health care to their workers. We need a Medicare for all single-payer health care system. Our country should not be the only major country on earth that says to a woman who has a baby that if you are low income or working class, you're going to have to separate yourself from that baby and go back to work in a week or two because you don't have enough money. We are going to join the rest of the industrialized world and guarantee 3 months paid family and medical leave. We are understanding that education has changed, that people today need more education than they did 50 years ago. And that is why when we talk about public education today, we are going to make public colleges and universities tuition free. I want every kid in this country. I grew up in a family, didn't have any money. My parents never went to college. So I know a little bit about this. And I want every kid in this country who studies hard, who does their schoolwork well, to be able to get a higher education, regardless of the income of his or her family. And by the way, that does not just mean college. We need great electricians and welders and sheet metal workers and carpenters. Our young people need the education to get those jobs to help us rebuild this country.